Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. Well, I'm so excited to welcome you to another edition of the Forex Morning Mastery, your daily dose of financial insight and trading strategies. I do hope we all had a wonderful weekend out there. And in fact, it's a new week. Today happens to be the first trading day of the week, and I do hope we are hyped up and well prepared in preparation for what the week um, will come up with. Of course, throughout the course of last week's trading session, we had quite interesting situations throughout the course of last week. We had a little bit of challenges too, also, especially on the XAUUSD, where we had multiple entries when we were looking out for buying opportunities, but unfortunately, they went into stop losses. But thank goodness, at the end of last week, we were able to recoup all the losses we made on that particular asset. On the US All Spot too, we had quite interesting situations, and in fact, we have also very interesting fundamental factors that are affecting that asset, which we are going to be deliberating on today. And on there is a new asset on the block, which is the USDJPY, which I finally reintroduced into the asset we will be monitoring for this week. The last time we traded the USDJPY was almost 5 months now, and we stopped trading it due to some choppy situation that was going on in the market and the fear that the Bank of Japan will be intervening at that particular point in time, which could set the market into a chaos. So to avoid the risk, we decided to stop trading that asset. That was around September stroke October of last year. But today, during the course of the weekend, I'm beginning to see some interesting setup unfold on that particular chart, and I've decided to include it into our watch list for this week. So for the USDJPY fans and for those who do want to have an idea into how we will position ourselves for this week on that asset, stay tuned in so you don't miss out on the valuable ideas we will be deliberating on today. And so far this week, we are going to be treating three assets as usual: the US All Spot, the XAUUSD. So I've switched the GBPUSD for the USDJPY for this week. I hope you guys don't mind about that. So stay tuned in so you don't miss out on the valuable ideas we will be deliberating on today. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm very excited to have you around with us this morning. And I do know you will be wondering what this is all about. What is it that we really do during the Forex Morning Mastery? Well, usually I share a couple of videos during the course of the weekend. I call them my weekend videos, which of course detail a top-down analysis on the asset we will be looking out for the new week. And it's very important you watch these videos, as it's going to be a background knowledge in preparation for the Forex Morning Mastery. As you all know, the Forex Morning Mastery, we only focus on the 1 hour time frame, which happens to be our execution time frame. So if you do really want to understand how we got to the point or the structures you're seeing on the 1 hour time frame, then I encourage you to watch these videos. If you missed it, the links are right in the description box of this current video you are watching. So please check them out after the live session so you can have a background knowledge into what we do. So as technical traders, we gather here during the Forex Morning Mastery on a daily basis, coming together as a community to engage and do follow-ups and reviews of our current positions in preparation for both the London and New York session. So it officially kickstarts about 9:05 a.m. West African time, 8:05 a.m. UTC, and I recommend that you stay tuned in so you don't miss out on the valuable ideas we will be talking about today. Now, my aim here is to equip you with the knowledge and skills necessary to make informed trading decisions independently. Now, the more time you spend with us in this community, the better you get to comprehend our analytical approach and eventually use the information you gather here to enhance your own trading decisions and strategies. So once again, I welcome you on board, and encourage you to engage in the comment section. So with that being said, here we will be diving right into the business. And as usual, for those of you who have been with me for a while now, you know, the first thing we want to be doing is to keep tabs with the fundamental factors that are likely going to be affecting the market sentiment today. And for those of you who have been with me, you know how important this is, as these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. Now, by monitoring the economic calendar, we tend to identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns on the chart, hereby giving us valuable information needed to position ourselves in such a way that we can capitalize on any potential move prior, during, and even after this economic event. Now, based on the assets we are going to be looking at for this week, which of course as the USDJPY, the USOILSPOT, and the XAUUSD, we shall be focusing on high impactful event from both the United States and the Japanese economic docket. Now, for today, Monday, January 15th, we do not have any high impactful events, so I will take it a step further to include medium impact events so that we can at least have an idea into what majority in the market will be looking forward to today. So I will include the Japan, and then let's include the medium impact event, and let's click on the apply button and let's see what we have here. So for today, despite including the medium impactful event, we do not have any events to look out for. So what this simply means is that we shall be relying on our technical skills to position ourselves for today's trading session. And for those of you who have been with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, you definitely must have gotten an update as to how we are going to be managing these assets today, and we are going to be expatiating on this. So as usual, we will be diving right into the business in a moment. I see a couple of comments. Torres Master, good morning to you. Glad to have you around this morning. You're saying that the audio is very, very low. All right, so I will try to do some little adjustment to this, and let's see what we have. Thank you for that feedback. So I will just add some little bit of volume, and let's see. Tell me what it sounds like right now. If it has increased, let me know, and if it doesn't, please let me know as well. Your feedbacks are highly appreciated. Good morning to you, Jonah Aruna. Glad to have you around with us this morning. Thank you very much. So please let me know if the sound quality is good right now and you can hear me very, very well. So like I was saying earlier, based on the fact that we do not have any impactful event for today, we will be focusing on our technical skills to help us in strategically positioning ourselves for the next move today. Now, the first thing we are going to be doing is to run through the USOILSPOT. So the first asset we are going to be looking at this morning is going to be the USOILSPOT, and of course I did not share any video on the USOILSPOT during the course of the weekend. So during this session we are going to be doing a top-down analysis on this particular asset to see how we will be positioning ourselves for the next move. Though I'm beginning to see some interesting situations going on in the market right now. So the first thing we will do is to scale up into the daily time frame, of course, so that we can have an holistic perspective into what is really going on in this market. And before we even go into the details on what's on the technical details on this chart, it's very, very important that we also take into consideration the fundamental factors behind the scenes that is affecting this particular asset. And while I was doing my reviews and listening to the news overnight, we have some interesting development in the global landscape, especially in the Middle East and the West Asian region, where we have been witnessing some volatile engagement between the US and the United Kingdom and the Houthi rebels. So it has been quite a very, very tough Okay, I see some comments here. Juna Aruna says the sound is good. Mode King's Garage says it's good. Torres Master says you're okay. Eric Mudavadi says, okay, good morning to you. I'm glad you have you around too. Though you need to. I didn't see what. I'm trying to see what Torres Master is saying here. Need to work on your. Okay, all right. Thank you for the advice. All right, so like I was saying earlier, where was I? I just lost my my track of time. All right, so like I was saying earlier, that there are some fundamental factors behind the scenes that is affecting this asset, and though we saw how the US oil gained some traction during the course of last week trading session, and not until the later part of last week we saw some retracement in that bullish momentum, and of course the potential for the gains could be attributed to concerns over the Israel-Gaza conflict intensifying after the Iran-led Houthis fired a cruise missile at the USS Laboon vessel on the Red Sea this morning, which could further escalate the tensions in the Middle East. And of course, the US, of course, intercepted this, and there was no damage or casualty at all. However, following the Friday's US and United Kingdom military attacks on the Houthis, tankers owners have, of course, rerouted their ships to take the longer routes to avoid any of these escalations in that area, which of course will dovetail to higher cost of production, running costs too as well, because a longer route will of course definitely increase the price delivery of these commodities. And of course, this morning, I think later yesterday, we saw the US President Joe Biden expressing his concern over the Middle East conflict potentially impacting on oil prices. He really acknowledged that, and he of course said this is likely going to go on as long as the Houthis are still trying to disrupt oil production in that area. So these are very, very interesting fundamental views. And of course, if you would ask me, all this development here has a tendency of pushing oil prices to the upside, because when there is a concerns over oil disruption, it affects the supply of oil, and when the supply reduces, of course demand will increase, and that will result into high prices. Now, if we are going to look at things from a technical standpoint today, how do we intend to position ourselves for the next move? So right here on the daily time frame, the structure we had from last week hasn't really changed. As if you are with me last week, you will see that this structure still remains very much the same, as we took into consideration the nature of price action in the last 4 months to give us a view on what to do. And of course, when you look at the structure closely, it is quite clear that the market has been on a strong bearish momentum in the last 4 months, giving us a beautiful descending trend line to work with. And of course, when we have descending trend lines on our chart, what we look out for is continued selling opportunities as long as price action remains below that descending trend line. However, something interesting happened during the first week of the month of December, when we saw how, despite the strong bearish momentum, sellers have found it difficult to break through the $68, $69.50 zone. And this also continued into the early days of this year, as you will see that the inability of sellers to break through, giving us a higher low, gives us a clue that buyers may likely be building up some momentum behind the scenes. And if we look at this from a technical pattern perspective, you will see that it appears we are looking at a transition of price action into what is looking like a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure, where the neckline of this reversal pattern interestingly shares a beautiful confluence with that key level at the $75 area. Now, that key level here also shares a confluence with that descending trend line, as you will see. And in fact, if price can break out of the key level, the neckline, then price will also have broken out of the descending trend line to further emphasize the strength of the bias. And in as much as we have a reversal pattern here, we are looking forward to the breakout of that neckline to give us an opportunity to buy. So basically on the daily time frame, it's more of a reversal setup revealing itself on this chart. Now, to have a simple setup to guide our trading decisions for this week, I scaled down into the 4 hours time frame, and here we are with a beautiful setup. Now look at the structure. The $75 area still remains very much intact, and in fact since the month of December you will see that price action is still respecting this ascending trend line. And of course, you know how we use our ascending trend lines in this community. As long as price remains above the ascending trend line, we continue to look out for patterns and structures that support the idea of buying that particular asset. And with the way things are going right now, and with that $72 area, I'm of the opinion that I will maintain a bullish bias in this market unless price action takes out the 72 and break down the ascending trend line to incite a sell-off in this particular market. So with the information we've gathered here on the higher time frame, let's scale down into the 1 hour time frame to see how the market participant had reacted to the structure since the new week began. Now on the 1 hour time frame, we will begin to see things more clearly. So let's scale down into the 1 hour time frame, and right here on the 1 hour time frame, since the new week has begun, you will see how price action has been confined within a range between the $73 area and of course the $72.40 level to emphasize the level of indecision going on in this market at this point in time. And of course, when we have this kind of flat channel on our chart, you know how we do it. We exercise patience and allow the structures to mature into a signal that will come either in the form of the breakout of the resistant line of the range to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line of the range to give us an opportunity to sell. And if you would ask me from my own perspective, I'm of the opinion that price is likely going to break out of that $73 area to incite our first buy position for the week. As you will see, the nature of price action since the week began is more of a rejection of that $72.40 level, and in fact in the last 15 to 30 minutes now we've been seeing some buy pressure around this area. So with that being said, I'm going to be having a buy stop order sitting above the $73 area to capitalize on that uptrend move. So I'm looking out for buying opportunities here. If price breaks out, triggers my first buy position, and if price continues to climb, we have a structure here at the $73.50 level to maximize the bullish momentum, as I do have a buy stop order above that structure. And I'm of the opinion that before price breaks out the neckline we identified on the higher time frame, we are also going to be seeing some very significant level as well, which we will be using to maximize the potential of this bullish move. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates as at when due. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunities in this market, we cannot ignore the potential that sellers too can also take over this market. Look at what happened last week Friday. We saw how price dropped significantly since the early hours of the New York session, dropped into that area, and in fact it has transitioned into what is looking like a potential downtrend continuation, where if price breaks down the support line of that range at the $72.40 level and probably retest that structure, could incite a very beautiful sell-off in this particular market. So as it is right now, we have a simple setup to guide our trading decisions, as price action right now currently is within a range which will be our center of focus for today's trading session. So I do encourage us all to mark out these levels on our chart, as we will be needing them as a reference point to guide our independent trading decisions for today. So this is my simple view on the US All Spot for today. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So as usual, I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds off to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we move on to the next asset on our watch list. And you can use that time to also mark out these levels on your chart, as you will be needing them as a reference point to guide your independent trading decisions for today. All right, in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page, and in that regard, we shall be moving on to the next asset on our watch list for today. All right, so the next asset on our watch list for today is the USDJPY. This is a new asset. This is the first time we will be reviewing this asset on the Forex Morning Mastery in the last 5 months. And I did mention earlier one of the reasons why we stopped trading these assets 4 or 5 months ago, due to the potential or that the Bank of Japan could intervene into the market at that point, and we saw the fear manifest in the market as we saw very choppy situations in the market at time. And to mitigate against any risk in an uncertain environment, we decided to stay clear of the USDJPY and then adopted the GBPUSD during that time frame. Now today we will be looking at the USDJPY, and first of all I want to emphasize here that for those of you who had not watched my video on the USDJPY, please kindly do, so that you can have a better understanding into how we got to this point you are seeing currently on this particular chart. The links to this the link to the USDJPY is right in the description box below. Kindly check them out after the live session so you can have an idea of what we are looking at for this week. Now on the USDJPY, we've seen on the 1 hour time frame, we've seen how the new week has started on a strong bullish note, as the pair is trading just above the key level we identified on the daily time frame. Now for those who watch my video on the USDJPY, remember this is our key level right here at the 144.800, which will be serving as a yardstick guiding our trading activities for this week. And you know how we use our key levels in this community. As long as price remains above the key level, we continue to look out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying that asset and not considering selling unless price action breaks down the ascending trend line. And of course, if you look at what has been going on since the beginning of this week, price has maintained a bullish traction just right above that key level at the 144.800 area, transitioning into a range where price was initially confined within the 145.240 and the 144.870 area, to emphasize a little bit of indecision going on in the market at that point in time. And of course, the indecision can I think is connected to the prospect of the Federal Reserve initiating interest rate cuts, which might limit the upside potential of the US dollar. Now we had mixed data coming out from the US economic docket for last week, where we saw the CPI data grew beyond expectations at 3.9%. And of course, we saw the PPI data, which is also an inflationary measure, which dropped to as well, which of course giving us an insight into a reduced inflation after the CPI data, hereby increasing the chances that we might be seeing a rate cut as early as the month of March. However, the ultra dovish policy of the Japanese yen may be an hindrance for the yen to grow on this asset. And I think because of this ultra dovish policy, the dollar, despite the fact that it has been losing traction on other assets, may likely take advantage of the ultra dovish perspective of the Japanese to capitalize on a bullish momentum, which appears to be what we are seeing so far at this point in time. And I'm of the opinion that buying the USDJPY at this juncture remains very reasonable as long as price still remains above that key level we identified here. And for those of you who did join the breakout of the resistance line at the 145.240, well done and kudos to you, as you will currently be running with about how many pips now? About 18 pips, which is not really that significant at this point. You can as well move your stop losses, secure this current position at break even, while we look forward to more opportunities to buy this asset at the breakout of the 145.550 level. So a buy stop order above that area makes quite a lot of sense. And one thing about the structure is that we cannot ignore that sellers will still come in. And so for those of us who missed out on the breakout of the 145.240, there are still chances that price could come back and retest the structure in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum. So let's keep this in mind too while we continue to monitor price action. And another thing I would like to call our attention to here is, after looking at what happened since last week Thursday, we saw how the 145.550 had been a strong selling niche in this market. Look at what happened here on Thursday. We saw selling niche around this area. The same thing also happened around this point, selling niche. We saw selling niche here before price broke out with that structure, but a couple of hours later we saw price come back, and that area had continued to be a strong barrier for buyers in the last 36 financial hours in this market. And we saw what happened here about an hour ago too as well, a sharp rejection of that area. And in fact, if price can break out of the structure, I'm of the opinion that we will be seeing some short-term bullish opportunity in this market. But if the selling pressure here persists, then it will make quite a lot of sense to look out for selling opportunities only if the support line of this range is broken to the downside. And interestingly, the support line is very, very close to our key level for this week at the 144.800 area. Now, if price can break down the structure and probably retest it, we will be looking out for selling opportunities below that area. And one thing I would like to mention here is that if we are going to be selling the breakdown of that support line and the 144.800, we want to be mindful of that ascending trend line we identified on the higher time frame. Now, for those of you who watch my video on the USDJPY this weekend, you will be familiar with what I'm talking about. So we did have an ascending trend line mapped out on the higher time frame, which emphasized the bullish momentum in this particular market. And since price still remains above the ascending trend line, and if we do have price break down this area selling, as soon as price gets into the trend line, please, we want to be moving our stop losses, secure the current sell position while we wait and see how the market is going to react to the ascending trend line. If the ascending trend line gets broken to the downside, this will definitely welcome more selling opportunities. But if price gets into the ascending trend line and we see how it becomes difficult for sellers to break through or settle below the trend line, then we could be seeing the evolution of price action into a reversal pattern to incite an uptrend continuation. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section to give you updates as at when due. So at this point in time, our center of focus basically is between the 145.240 and the 144.870, and of course we'll still maintain a bullish bias at this juncture in the market. So let's see how price will play out here, and we shall of course update ourselves in the comment section of both my trading view and Telegram platform. So this is my simple view on the USDJPY. Let's see how the market will play out, and if you have any questions whatsoever as regards to my explanation, or you need some further clarification at some point, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So as usual, I will take the next 10 to 15 seconds off to see if there are any questions before we move on to the last asset on our watch list for today. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to take this as a confirmation that we are all on the same page and that all we have said so far has been quite comprehensive enough for us to act on. So with that being said, we will move on to the last and final asset on our watch list for today. So the last asset on our watch list for today is my favorite asset, and that is the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And I remember yet last week the first week for gold was not rosy for us, as it was a roller coaster of buying, going into a loss, buying again, going into a loss. In fact, we had 3 setbacks last week on the XAUUSD after capitalizing on breakout of our key level for last week at the $2,035 area, and every point in time it was always going into a loss, giving us 3 setbacks last week. But finally our persistence and the faith in the analytical approach did work out, paid out on the last trading day of last week, as we saw another final breakout of that structure, and price did move significantly well since the breakout of that structure. And do remember that we had multiple entries to maximize that move, scooping over 550 pips from those multiple entries. And what we were able to do was to recover the loss we incurred during the course of the week, and of course had a little bit of profit on top of it, and that made it a positive week for us on the XAUUSD. And for those of you who stayed faithful to the approach, kudos to you, congratulations to you for being on standby to capitalize on that move. Now it's another new week, and what is going to be happening on the XAUUSD, and how do we intend to position ourselves for the next move. I did give an update this morning on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, and I also want to reiterate here that for those of you who missed out on my weekend video on the XAUUSD, kindly find the link to those videos in the description box below. You can check them out so you can furnish yourself with the ideas that set the tone for what we are seeing here on the 1 hour time frame. So in this market, the week has started on a strong bullish momentum, so far. And of course, the surge in this can be attributed to the rise in risk aversion amidst escalating geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, and of course speculations around potential rate cuts by the Federal Reserve by as early as the month of March. Now, heightened concern over the Israel-Gaza conflict, compounded by the Iran-led Houthi Red Sea attack on Monday, have intensified demand for gold, and we know the major role safe haven assets such as gold usually play during escalating tensions like this in the global landscape. Everyone wants to move their funds from other assets into safe haven assets such as the gold. And I'm of the opinion that with this latest development in the in West Asia, we might likely see a further rise in gold, and everything is still looking very bullish on this particular asset. And notably, we heard from the Barclays analyst on Friday, where they did a revision of their expectations for the reduce in a Fed interest rate by 25 basis points. So they were initially suggesting that it will happen in June, but on Friday last week they revised it and pushed it forward to March, and this has further incited the market sentiment in favor of a rate cut, and this will give a downward pressure on the US dollar. And with this information, I think price will go to the upside. But if we look at things from a technical standpoint, looking at the 1 hour time frame here, price action remains above our key level. The key level for last week at the $2,035 area still remains very intact, and is still going to be serving as our key level for the week. And for the fact that price still remains above this key level, we shall continue to look out for patterns and structures that support the idea of buying this asset. Now, since the week has begun, we saw how price started the week around the $2,046 area, which happens to be the support line of the new range we have. As you will see, price action has been confined within the 2058 and the $2,046 level since the new week has begun. Now, with the situation we have here, I did mention in my commentary, I did share this update here where I will be looking out for buying opportunities at the breakout of the 2058 level. So a buy stop order has already been triggered on this particular asset, and I'm hopeful that price will continue to the upside, breaking out of that high at a $2,062.25 level to welcome more buy positions here. So I also have a buy stop order above that area to maximize the potential of this bullish move if price action ever breaks out of that structure. And to further buttress the bullish expectations in this market, we have a beautiful ascending trend line here, which has been supporting the momentum since last week Wednesday. And after connecting the series of higher lows here, I have this beautiful ascending trend line which we will be using to guide our decisions for today. And as long as price remains above the ascending trend line, we shall continue to maintain a bullish bias. However, if at any point in time today price drops and breaks down this ascending trend line, we might likely be seeing some temporary profit taking activities which would reflect on the chart as a retracement move. And how far would that retracement phase go? Well, in the meantime, I have a projection somewhere around the 2025 level if it so happens that this ascending trend line is broken. Now, for those of you who watch my video on the XAUUSD, remember that we did acknowledge that since the beginning of this year, price action has been very bearish, finding a uniform and series of lower highs in the market, and that trend line here is represented on the 1 hour time frame like this. And of course, we saw how price broke out of that descending trend line, and of course the key level last week at the 2035 area. And from a technical standpoint, whenever price action breaks out of a key structure like this, we expect at some point in time price may come back, retest the structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So if price action ever breaks down this ascending trend line today, that is this one right here, let me show you one more time, this one right here. If price breaks down that structure, we might likely be seeing the possibility of capturing a, how many pips? A minimum of 150 to 170 and a maximum of 270 pips if price action gets to retest that descending trend line. So we shall be looking out for selling opportunities only if that ascending trend line is broken to the downside. And in fact, we could capture a selling opportunity even before the breakdown of the $2,046 level happens. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you update as at when due. And of course, if you are going to be part of the XAUUSD live window later today, definitely you will witness in real time how we will be positioning ourselves for the next move on the XAUUSD. So at the moment, we have a range already identified between the 2058 and the 2046 area, where depending on the direction of the breakout of this range will give us an insight into where price action will be going. So I already dropped the link to the XAUUSD live window right in the comment box. It is pinned at the top of the comment box right now, so you want to click on that link, click on the notify me button so you can get notified as soon as we come on live. Now, for those of you who don't know what the XAUUSD live window is all about, well, this platform was born out of popular demand from members of this community, where we come together to monitor real-time price action on the XAUUSD during the New York session. So it officially kickstarts about 5 to 10 minutes into the New York session. So I encourage us all to be part of that session so you can see in real time how we manage our positions on the XAUUSD. So like I said, we still maintain a strong bullish momentum on the XAUUSD, looking out for more opportunities at the breakout of the 2058 and the $2,062 area. And of course, I will be giving you updates as at when due if any new development unfolds on this chart. So if you have any questions whatsoever as regards to the current setup and what we just discussed here today, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And if you have found this content or the session helpful in making your own independent trading decisions for today, I would greatly appreciate your support by giving the video a thumbs up. Your likes are very valuable to me, and in fact it also helps the algorithm promote the video to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial to them. Thank you in advance for doing so, and if you haven't already, I encourage you to follow me on this channel for more of this content so that you can get notified as soon as we come on live like this and whenever I drop new videos and ideas ahead of every new week. So thank you guys, I really do appreciate. So I will just take the next 5 seconds to see if there are any questions before we start rounding off on today's Forex Morning Mastery session. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page, and in fact it's on this note I would like to call it a day here on the Forex Morning Mastery. My own name is Sheriff Daramola, and we shall continue to monitor price action on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, where I will be giving you updates as at when due. So it has been a wonderful moment today. We were able to take on 3 financial assets today, and of course we had a newcomer on our watch list, which is the USDJPY after 5 months of absence on this particular asset. We also took on the USOILSPOT, and of course my favorite asset, which happens to be the XAUUSD. And interesting enough, we were able to identify simple trading setup using our basic tools such as trend lines, key levels, and chart patterns to unravel the potential trajectory of price action today. So I do hope we all marked out these levels on our chart, and if you did, let's ensure that we exercise patience and allow the structures to mature before we jump into any positions today. And always remember that every decision we make in the financial market is nothing but an educated guess until price action hits your TP target. And with this understanding, you do want to be having a well-defined risk management strategy in place to protect and mitigate against further risk on your portfolio. So on this note, I want to wish us all the best of luck. For those of you who joined us for the first time, I do hope you are able to gain one or two things from what we discussed here today. And if you did, I want you, of course, want to be part of the subsequent editions. As the more time you spend with us in this community, the better you get to understand our analytical approach and eventually be able to use the information gathered here to make your own independent trading decision. So I look forward to seeing more of you same time tomorrow, 9:05 a.m. West African time, 8:05 a.m. UTC, as we come here again to review how well these assets have been doing and at the same time prepare ourselves for tomorrow's trading session. So it's on this note I wish us all the best of luck in the comment. I see Crispin Ndolovu. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Glad to have you around. You're asking for the Telegram link. Okay, the Telegram link is right in the description box below, and of course it's always scrolling at the bottom of the screen, but on this one it's not scrolling right now, but you can check the description box below. You will find the link right there. So on this note, I wish us all the best of luck today. Trade smart, trade consciously, and do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye bye.